Hello, I'm bich from 19BSM, and today I will introduce the next location of Disneyland. Before I introduce that, I want to mention a little bit about the previous parks of Disney. Disney has total six parks. Two of them are located in USA, their home country, California and Florida, and for the remaining four of them were located in Tokyo, Paris, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. Uh, all of the foreign markets that they chose are rich countries and attractive. Uh, to consider the next location, I need to find a similar rich country and attractive tourism. To find the next location, I want to choose Asia country or European countries or America anymore. I want to choose another continent, which was Australia. And the city I chose in Australia is Melbourne. The reason before before I introduce before I explain, Melbourne belongs to Australia. Before that, it was a British colony, and the six states of Australia today are also were also the British colonies. After 1901, they are combined together and established the Federation of States. So we call Australia is a federation of states. In addition, Australia is a constitutional monarchy and a parliamentary democracy. For constitutional monarchy, it it is presented by Queen Elizabeth, and its function is to give advices for the advices to elect the government, and it has no power to legislate or ban anything. So the total power in political system in Australia is belongs to parliament democracy, the choice of people, and it was presented by the prime minister. The reason why I chose Australia to be the next destination of Disneyland because Australia is a mixed economy where government and private companies can exist in the same market. Moreover, the government in Australia is stable and transparent. Even domestic companies or foreign companies or individuals have the same standing before law. The government also encourage uh, foreign investment to come and join to their market. Thanks to the government strategy, Australia has an amazing economy. The rank of Australia on the global economy has proved it. For the global competitiveness index, Australia is ranked 16th over 141 countries, and it was a top 5 of economic freedom. Also, the corruption in Australia is low, only 77 points from 2019. Therefore, the inflation in there was extremely low. The last year it was recorded at 0.87% of inflation. It's a really short inflation rate in the world. Besides, the country has also joined in Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation and the Trans-Pacific due to becoming a member of these two world organizations. Australia has expanded their relationship into the world. It was a very good step of Australia in globalize their market. One of the factors that I chose Australia to be the next location of Disney parks because of its population. Looking at the lie chart, more than 5 million people in 20 and 21 live in there, and the lie is increasing gradually every year. So besides that, the age structure in Melbourne is most of 25 and 25 to 49 years old, and people at this age will have family and their children must be from 6 to 15 years old, which matches to the customer segmentation of Disney for the immigration, which contribute to the high populations in Melbourne. Melbourne is the top 10 country that has the largest immigrant population. It also the largest proportion of international overseas immigrants because of the more affordable housing and cost of living. The cost of living in Melbourne is cheaper than in Sydney, and this city is predicted that Disney will have more population than the Sydney, the capital of New South Wales, in the next few years. So this is the reason why I chose Melbourne instead of Sydney, where has the crowded residents in Australia, because in the future Melbourne will lead the population in Australia overall. The large amount of immigration that leads to the situation that in Australia there is no unique culture. The the Australia culture is a mix of with of many cultures, and there are 16 ancestry in Australia. Major of them are English, Australian, Irish, Chinese, and also Vietnamese. Because in the old days, Australia was a colony of British. The culture of Australia is firmly based on Western culture, derived from Britain, and also influenced by the unique geography of Australia. So it is understandable that Christianity is the main religion here. Therefore, I have to say that Australia is multiculturalism. The major of people in there speak English every day. More than a half of people use English to talk, to communicate. So it's easy to enter a market that use English-based communication. I have mentioned about social, culture, population. Uh, Now we will move to the location. Geography is located near Asian countries. The climate here is diverse and has four distinct seasons. They can have four up to four seasons, and it's usually warm between 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. So I think if we locate a Disney park here, we should open till 8 p.m. The peak tourist months are from December to early March, and these are the summer months in Australia. Different from another countries that summer usually in June to August. The summer months are warm and the winters are cold and windy. and Melbourne is every day is cloudy. To analyze the park side, I want to analyze the visitor statistic. As you can see, there are nearly 14 million visitors in in a year to Melbourne, both international and domestic visitors, and they spend on average that 22 days a year. So the park size maybe maybe small because the the amount of visitors to Melbourne is not high enough. It cannot compare to other countries that Disney has located at. But in the next couple years, I think that the visitor will change because the population in Melbourne increased, the visitor also increased, and if we build a Disney park in Melbourne, the attraction of Melbourne will rise. So the amount of visitor will rise also. In the past, Disney has built six parks I have mentioned before, and although their size are not the same, but I think the company built it based on the needs of customer and the finance at that time. For Florida Park, the Disney World, the park is too big, as you know, that 10,000 hectares, and the company leaves a lot of empty space to build for the future. As for Hong Kong, because of the land, the cost of land is extremely expensive, so it was constructed as small, only 28 hectares. So Hong Kong Disneyland received complaint from the customer that it was too small. So I think in Australia, we need a Disneyland that with a moderate size of about 70 hectares. The reason why it's smaller than the six Disneyland Shanghai because I don't think the number of visitors to Melbourne is really too much and it cannot compare to Shanghai. Uh, Maybe after a few years later, maybe the government will have a policy to attract tourists here. I hope so. And the the 70 hectares will contain six parks, amusement park, water park, resort, beach resort, a jungle, maybe a jungle includes zoo in there as well, and restaurants. Uh, for the jungle, I think it will be interesting to build an exploration model here because the vegetation of Melbourne, also Australian, is very diverse. If we construct a theme park, if we construct a theme park here, there are three main competitors. One is Gimbaya World, which, which covers an area of 174 hectares. The biggest, this is the biggest park in Victoria State, and the distance between Melbourne and Gumbaya World is 76 kilometers. If we if you want to move here, it takes more than 1 hour to drive. So although the although it's large, the main activity of the park is water activities, and the remaining of this park is for jungle. The second opponent is Adventure Park in Geelong. This park is 72 hectares and it takes more than 1.5 hours to get there. And a half hours. Like the park above, the adventure park's main activity is based on water park. The lightest competitor in the three competitors is Luna Park. This park is only 4 hectares, and the only thing that can compete the two parks is that it's located in Melbourne. So if Disney builds a park right in the capital of Victoria, it can completely beat the other opponents because of the geographical distance. The resort there is no park that contains resort in Australia, and moreover the exciting activities of Disney have have an advantage over the competitor because the parks in Australia are mainly built for water park. For the ticket price, Melbourne has a high local purchasing power, and compared to other countries that Disney has located, Melbourne has Melbourne is higher than the four countries respectively Tokyo, Paris, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. However, I want to charge a ticket price that lower than Tokyo or Hong Kong because I want to attract more and more customers to join to the Disneyland in Melbourne. About the operating hours, I also think that the park should follow to the Lunar Park's schedule, which is open at 10 a.m. in every morning, but in the evening it will last until 9 p.m. in the peak months from December to February and may close at 6 p.m. in the winter. The last thing to have to be considered when entering to a new market is that staff. Australians highly value teamwork. This is also consistent with the work culture of Disney. The teamwork is emphasized as a vital function to engineering a guest experience. In Disney Paris, employees were underpaid and the labor policies were conflict with employee expectation. So in this time, I think Disney should hire someone who has lived in Australia for a long time to be a manager. This is called polycentric staffing. To conclude, I have what able to analyze in terms of strength. The Australian government is perfect environment to develop an international company. For the weak point is the climate in Australia has few months to travel. It leads to fewer tourism than the other countries. For the opportunity, there are few competitors. Melbourne and also Melbourne has a lot of students studying abroad every year and a large amount of immigrants. For the threat, that is because of the diversity of Australia vegetation. It is easy to have the forest fire. If that happens, fewer tourists will come. That's it. That's my Australian analysis about the next location of Disneyland. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.